Occasionally, 100 beautiful young men and women are sent to this green island of Eden. They attend a party on the island hosted by a mysterious, wealthy man. Among them are online influencers and young entrepreneurs. There are also rich second-generation kids who don't want to inherit their family businesses and beautiful young university students. Just as they are having a wonderful time, they have no idea that 5 chosen people have been marked and will be left behind on this island to become members of a mysterious cult. After joining, they discover that the so-called Garden of Eden hides many unknown secrets. A girl named Zoa lives with her sister in Barcelona. One day, she receives an invitation to an exclusive island party called Blue Eden. After watching the promotional video, she is deeply captivated by the beach and yacht in the video. She has no idea that she is just one of 100 guests. After signing an electronic contract, she and her best friend Judy begin their island party trip. They both take a taxi to an abandoned factory and enter it under the guidance of a drone. Many young people are already waiting inside. Suddenly, all the lights go out, plunging the scene into darkness. A modified bus, marked with the name Blue Eden, drives into the factory. After that, everyone is immersed in alcohol and music. After a night of partying, the bus arrives at the beach. Not far away, a luxury yacht is waiting for them. However, everyone is required to remove all metal objects before boarding and hand over their mobile phones to the organization. Africa is a female influencer with millions of fans. She doesn't want to hand over her phone. She says the phone and a few pictures will make the party go viral, but the staff says it's not necessary. After confiscating the mobile phones, it's time for a full-body search. When it's Judy's turn, Zoa's best friend, there's also a problem. She's not on the guest list, but Zoa says if Judy can't get in, she won't participate either. After the staff consults their superiors, they agree to let Judy in. Just like that, the two excitedly board the cruise ship. Very quickly, everyone starts a new party, but they don't know that what awaits them is a journey of death. As the cruise ship heads towards the deep-sea island, the party organizers are selecting 5 candidates from the 100 participants. Zoa is one of them, which is also the reason Judy was allowed to join as an exception. The organizer asks their subordinates to observe the behavior of the 5 candidates after they arrive on the island because they will join the island and begin their final journey. After a few hours on the boat, a beautiful island appears before everyone's eyes. The group excitedly takes a shuttle boat to the island. The staff puts a blue bracelet on each person. As night falls, the party officially begins. The famous Africa also takes the stage to sing a song, igniting the atmosphere of the entire place for the night. Zoa and Judy also find people they're interested in. At this moment, a woman in a blue dress appears via a 3D projection. She is the host of this party, Astrid. She invited everyone because her company is about to launch a new energy drink brand called Blue Eden. This drink is not yet on the market. Only the lucky ones with glowing bracelets have the privilege to try it. The ones with the brightly lit bracelets are Zoa and the 4 other candidates who were previously selected. But as soon as Zoa drinks that beverage, she starts to feel dizzy. She actually ends up accidentally climbing a cliff, raising her hands high. When she wakes up from her drunken state, it's already morning. At this point, there is no one on the beach. Her best friend Judy is also nowhere to be seen. After screaming for a while, Zoa finally finds the other 4. They see that the yacht is also gone. Some of them don't understand why they were left behind on the island. Their memories of last night are completely blurry. They only remember that after drinking the energy drink, their minds went blank. Then, a drone suddenly appears. The group quickly follows it. As they go deeper into the island, the initially very scared group gradually becomes attracted to the beautiful scenery here. After walking for a long time, they arrive at a settlement. Following the drone to the central area, they see a group of people waiting for them. The woman in the blue dress steps forward to welcome them to Eden. The woman's name is Astrid, and this is the paradise of Eden she created. Currently, there are 53 people on the island, provided with food and clothing, no need to work, and no need to spend a single penny. Here, they can have a luxury villa and enjoy delicious food. The host, Eric, says they don't force anyone. Everyone else on the island came voluntarily. As long as people want to, they can also join their big family. If you don't want to, you can leave on your own after the next boat arrives at the island in a few days. Astrid also says they need to wear the blue bracelets on the island so that others know they are honored guests. After that, the head of security, Elises, leads everyone to their respective modules. And so, the group of 5 is separated, living with the other residents. Zoa and Nicola live in the same house. There is also another girl, Claudia, but she looks worried, unlike Nicola's current attitude. And on Zoa's bed, she sees a symbol carved, CF. Aldo hears a sound in the middle of the night. He notices his roommate making hand shadows far away by the window. So he quietly gets dressed and leaves the room, but he doesn't get far before a drone targets him. The next day, each person is given an outfit identical to the other residents. Meanwhile, Aldo, having explored for a night, concludes that the people on this island are some kind of church organization. Mobile phones have been confiscated, and their movements are restricted. But Zoa and Charlie feel that since they're single, what benefit is there for the other side to keep them on the island? At this moment, Zoa spots the guy who was close to her best friend Judy at last night's party. She immediately approaches him for information, but he says he doesn't know any Judy, and even says Zoa has the wrong person. At the same time, Aldo has stolen a resident's SUV and is trying to leave quietly, but he doesn't know that his bracelet has a tracking device. His location has long been exposed. Just as he is about to drive out of the island's restricted area, an ATV gives chase. After a pursuit, the person following him tells Aldo that driving out alone is very dangerous, and she should take him back to his residence immediately. Aldo seems to understand something about his bracelet. He has no choice but to follow her back. At this time, everyone on the island gathers in a circle to conduct their evaluation. Zoa is chosen as the next member. Astrid says she can speak freely. So, Zoa says she just wants to go home because she's worried about her best friend, Judy, who she grew up with, not knowing how she is now. Then, under Astrid's detailed questioning, Zoa gradually lets her guard down. She tells everyone about her family situation, even revealing her deepest secrets, from her mother's drug addiction and being sent to rehab, only to quickly relapse every time she got out. And just as Zoa says she remembered her sister's birthday, she has no idea that all this content is being recorded by people in the surveillance room. Later, her sister Gabby, far away in Barcelona, receives a birthday cake with a blessing message bearing Zoa's name. But upon reading the message, Gabby feels something is wrong here, because Zoa would never miss her birthday. When she calls back, the phone is unreachable. So, Gabby angrily goes to her sister's room and throws everything on the table to the floor. Meanwhile, Zoa in Eden seems to feel her sister's emotions. Waking up from a dream, she suddenly sees a boy outside her room looking at her worriedly. But when she steps outside, the figure has disappeared. After dawn, Elises comes to inform them that the cruise ship is on its way back. It will dock at the island's port tomorrow at noon, so they can choose to stay or leave. But Aldo is becoming more and more suspicious of this island. Previously, they were told that this island could not communicate with the outside world, but today they know the ship is returning. He sees some new faces on the island busy unloading goods, and immediately becomes suspicious. They came to the island by boat. Ivan hopes he won't make a fuss because they can leave when the boat arrives tomorrow, but Aldo insists on leaving the island immediately. Meanwhile, Zoa went diving with Nicola in the morning. After their conversation, the relationship between the two becomes closer. After lunch, the ritual of sharing truths is performed again. This time, a resident named Belle describes how her former company emitted too much CO2 and destroyed the environment. She went to the leadership, but to no avail, so she made everything public on social media. After that, Belle was fired from the company. She feels lucky that Eden took her in. Then, Astrid announces that tonight there will be a farewell party for the group of 5. Everyone starts to excitedly choose their outfits to attend. Aldo is the only one sitting in his room, lost in thought. Under the cover of darkness, a girl named Micah takes Ivan to the beach. She knows Ivan likes to play the piano, so she asks him to play a song before he leaves. Just as everyone is immersed in the beautiful melody, Aldo throws his bracelet away and leaves alone. He climbs the rocks by the sea and discovers the island residents are loading strange items onto a boat. And so, he starts to think about leaving. After the song ends, Micah and Ivan kiss passionately. The others also start to enjoy the festival. Charlie also confesses his love for Micah, but unfortunately, he is rejected. He steps aside and drinks a bottle of Blue Eden, and suddenly hallucinations start appearing before his eyes. He then runs to a tent and starts a conversation with Zoa, but she quietly tells Charlie that they can't leave tomorrow because they will die on this island. Hearing this stuns Charlie for a moment. On the other side, Zoa also drinks a bottle of Blue Eden with Nicola's encouragement. It makes her feel immediately attracted to him. At the same time, Ivan confesses his love for Micah. She tells him that if he loves her, he won't leave tomorrow. Aldo sees the two kissing passionately and doesn't disturb them. Then he finds Charlie, saying he has found a way to escape the island. But Charlie is still dazed from the blue drink he had. He keeps muttering, "We're going to die here," and walks away. Aldo has no choice but to look for the famous online influencer, Africa. But at this moment, she has been taken to the villa where Astrid and Eric live. Astrid tells her how she built Eden to protect them from the real world. from those who surrender their own power, because she guarantees their survival. As long as they obey her, everyone will enjoy the best life. Aldo can't find anyone, so he has to swim out to the boat in the sea himself, wanting to follow the boat and leave this strange island. But after dawn the next day, he wakes up in a cabin. The woman who had stopped his car earlier is standing at the bow. She takes out a cylindrical object and forces him to kneel. Aldo doesn't know what's happening and thinks she's going to take him back again. But the next second, she aims the cylinder at his head. With just a bang, Aldo has a small hole in his head. Immediately after, she and the boat return to the island. Somewhere on the island, Judy is still on the run, but at a cliff with bloody feet. She can't move and is begging for mercy. The man says nothing, paints her arm blue, and then his disciple holds a cylindrical weapon to the beauty's forehead and says, "Goodbye." With just a bang, Judy dies on the spot and is kicked off the cliff. Over here, Zoa wakes up on the beach, remembering the crazy night with Nicola. She had told him that even though she had to leave today, he could invite her to the next party. When Zoa returns to her residence, she finds Charlie drunk and urges him to get ready for the boat at noon, but they can't find Aldo anywhere. His roommate, Belle, also says that Aldo didn't come back last night, and all his personal belongings are also missing. So, Zoa takes Charlie to find the security chief, Ulises. Although Ulises promises to report to his superiors, he looks uninterested. Charlie then remembers his conversation with Aldo last night when he was drunk. On the other hand, Ulises has gone to Astrid's room and gently tells her that Aldo has been taken care of. But after Astrid hears this, she loudly declares she will organize a search party to find Aldo all over the island. After receiving the news, Nicola also consoles Zoa. She also talks about Aldo's plan to leave alone last night and suspects he is in danger. Nicola reassures her that he will join the search team and provide her with the latest information, but asks Zoa to never discuss this matter with anyone else because he doesn't want her to be in danger too. Belle asks a guy named Eloy to find out about Aldo. They use sign language, laying out a plan to get the key card of Ivan from the security department. It turns out Ivan has been pursuing Ulises for a long time, so Ulises takes advantage of this to get his access card and throws it to Belle, who is waiting outside. Belle then enters the control room with the key card. She starts querying the status of the 5 people through the computer system. Their reactions to drinking Blue Eden have been recorded. Africa, Ivan, and Charlie have successfully passed the psychological and behavioral assessments. Meanwhile, Aldo's information reads eliminated. Zoa's result is has leadership qualities and still incomplete. At this moment, Belle discovers through surveillance that Ivan seems to have noticed his access card is missing. She immediately rushes out of the control room and enters from the mountain behind the cabin, finally reaching him and throwing the keycard into the stable. On the other side, Astrid is gathering everyone, starting to assign search tasks. They also announce the good news of Africa's decision to stay on the island. It turns out Africa was persuaded by Astrid and Eric to stay last night. Ivan, who had been controlled by his father since childhood, now loves Micah, so he also decides to join Eden. It doesn't take long for his family to receive a message that he will be away for a while. So, Ivan's father hires a famous private investigator to find his son's whereabouts. Charlie is still sitting alone on the beach in a daze. After seeing Africa, he feels that Aldo was right, that the ship can't come. But Africa feels that Aldo has infected him with delusions and pulls him back to the camp. A welcome ceremony for Ivan is underway. They share their pasts, and the next person chosen to share is Charlie. At this moment, he is blaming himself for Aldo's disappearance, so he shouts that he is unwilling to accept Astrid's brainwashing. Their mission was to force Ivan and Africa to stay. After speaking, he runs out of the yard and turns to leave. But Astrid acts quickly, forcing Charlie to come back. In fact, she already knew Charlie's past, so she easily broke through his psychological defenses. And so, Charlie gradually reveals the source of his inner pain. At 8 years old, he took his 5-year-old sister to the beach, and an accident happened, causing his sister to drown. She was the most beloved child in the family, so his parents blamed Charlie for everything. To this day, they still haven't forgiven him. Astrid says that the people in Eden will never do anything to harm him. Just as Charlie is moved and about to accept staying, Zoa interrupts. She accuses Astrid of brainwashing them to control them, that everyone is lying and testing them. After speaking, she angrily turns and leaves. Nicola, who has the best relationship with Zoa, quickly chases after her to persuade her to calm down. But Zoa says she can only calm down when she's on the boat leaving this island. At this point, Nicola finally says that the ship will never come, but he can't say more now. He says tonight when everyone is asleep, Zoa needs to take off her bracelet, put it on her bed, and not let anyone see her. Late at night, Nicola takes Zoa to a mysterious cave on the island and tells her to be calm. As they go deeper, Zoa discovers a woman's body wrapped in a white cloth on a pile of wood. It is her best friend, Judy, who came to the island with her. How can she possibly remain calm at this moment? The tears just couldn't stop falling. The death of her best friend is a huge blow to Zoa, making her sick and unwilling to go out. But Elises forces her to go to the infirmary for a doctor's checkup, as they suspect she is just pretending to be sick. Feeling the danger, Zoa clutches a screwdriver hidden in her sleeve. Only when her palm is pricked and bleeding does she nervously pass the test. Afterward, Zoa goes to find Africa to tell her everything, but discovers that her bracelet is missing. It turns out Africa has signed an agreement to stay in Eden. Eric also suddenly appears, giving her a flower. Seeing this, Zoa swallows all her words, only warning her to be careful. A storm is coming. The camp bell suddenly rings in the night, so all members must evacuate together. Charlie meets a wandering Zoa. At this moment, a bolt of lightning strikes a utility pole, directly blowing him away. After being taken to the hospital, the doctor says he has a broken rib and then injects him with a strange blue liquid. Micah visits him at night. Seeing her, Charlie begs her not to leave him alone here. So, Micah takes him back to her room. It must be said that young people recover faster than normal. His ribs were just broken not long ago, but he can already exercise. But Micah is the one who monitors the entire island, and when she's not in the surveillance room, Zoa and Iben have a chance to go to the cave where Judy was found. But this time, they discover the body and the woodpile inside have disappeared. Iben thinks Zoa is deceiving him to create a rift between him and Eden. The two anxiously hurry back to the camp. Nicholas sees the two of them walking in together and feels quite uncomfortable. Zoa tells him that Iben also has the right to know about Judy's death, but her body in the cave has vanished. Nicola is also surprised and warns Zoa not to trust Iben. As far as he knows, he was the first among the five to agree to stay on the island. When Zoa reaches the door, she sighs and meets Belle waiting there. She reminds Zoa to stay away from Nicola and not to trust him too much because he was sent by Astrid to keep Zoa on the island through affection. After returning, Zoa can't help but ask Nicola about his feelings for her, because she has discovered that Iben stayed on the island for Micah and Africa stayed for Eric. Just like her, they are everyone's links to keep others from leaving. Upon hearing the word link, Nicola's expression immediately changes, and he asks where she heard it. But of course, Zoa remains silent. Later, Nicola and Ulises report the situation to Astrid, saying someone on the island has secretly betrayed them. It turns out everything, from Nicola approaching Zoa to secretly taking her to the cave to see Judy's body, was arranged by Astrid. And so, Astrid immediately decides to give up on Zoa and eliminate her. Soon after, Zoa is escorted to the mansion. Eric and Astrid begin to persuade her one last time to join the Eden family. But Zoa is always indifferent, thinking they are kidnapping and killing people. So, Astrid says that Zoa violated the contract by bringing the uninvited Judy, so she must also bear some responsibility for her best friend's death. At this moment, Zoa lies, saying she heard the word link from Aldo. She doesn't know who he heard it from. Brenda holds a steel pipe weapon to the back of Zoa's head. At the critical moment, Zoa immediately pretends to yield and expresses her willingness to try to integrate into life on the island. She is willing to accept punishment and will be their good girl. In the end, Astrid feels it would be a pity to kill Zoa, so she lets her go. Seeing Zoa walk out of the mansion alive, Nicola is extremely surprised. He wants to comfort her, but she says nothing. After returning to the camp, Nicola calls Ulises aside. He complains about not being able to get a promotion in this mission. Moreover, Ulises has arranged for Belle to be a competitor and becomes Zoa's new link. After returning to her room, Zoa grabs Nicola, insisting that he knew when Judy was killed. Unexpectedly, Nicola shows a different attitude, saying no one cares about Judy. Zoa is so angry she's speechless upon seeing Nicola's true face. That night, she quietly takes the screwdriver and approaches him. As she is about to kill him to avenge her best friend, Claudia suddenly appears and stops her. On the other side, Iben is sleeping with Micah. The more he thinks about it, the more he feels it's wrong and just wants to leave Eden and go home. After leaving the room, he discovers that the drone that used to monitor the island is no longer there. He runs to the cliff by the sea and sees a wooden boat carrying firewood floating on the sea not far away. The person on it is Zoa's best friend. The boat doesn't take long to catch fire. Only then does Iben know that everything Zoa said was true. Early in the morning, Ulises sees Iben returning alone and immediately asks why he violated the rules and left the camp. Iben says that if he doesn't follow the rules, will he turn into a corpse and be put on a boat? Ulises quickly asks how he knows about the boat. Just as Ulises steps forward to intervene, he gets a punch that knocks him down. His boyfriend, Ivan, doesn't dare to say a word at this moment. Afterward, the three of them, Zoa, Ivan, and Charlie, go to the beach. They suggest stopping the conflict with Ulises for their own safety. They can only survive by joining Eden first and then finding a way to escape later. Zoa's plan is to wait until the next party is held on the island, and they will escape from here on the waiting yacht. Before that, they can't trust anyone on the island. Zoa and Nicola, Ivan and Micah are all liaisons that keep them trapped on the island, unable to leave. Hearing this, Charlie thinks of Micah, who spent the night with him, wondering if she is also his link. At the same time, Zoa's sister Gabby on the other side sees a message on Zoa's social media. The other person is the guy who was with Zoa at the party. He wants to date her and rekindle their relationship. Through him, Gabby learns about the Eden party. However, he refuses to disclose the location because they have signed a confidentiality agreement. After Gabby constantly pesters him, the guy finally takes out the blue bracelet he had secretly snuck away and tells her everything. But who would have known that the bracelet would automatically activate after Gabby put it on? What they don't know is that the bracelet's location has been identified by Micah from the island. Gabby knows Eden selects young people from social platforms. To find her missing sister, she starts to dress in a mature and sexy way and posts on social media. And on the other side, the private investigator hired by Ivan's father is also investigating the guy's whereabouts. She then goes to the abandoned pier, but everything here is empty. Then she receives a message on her phone. It's a report of other missing people in the city on the day Ivan disappeared. After clicking on it, it's Zoa's name and the others. It doesn't take long for the private investigator to find Zoa's house. She also gets Gabby's contact information from the mother. Later, the two meet and talk about their plan to find the missing people. So, Gabby gives the blue bracelet to the investigator, and she herself continues to post mature pictures on social media, hoping that the people of Eden will notice her. And the story of Claudia stopping Zoa from killing Nicola is also revealed. It turns out the bed Zoa sleeps in originally belonged to her boyfriend named Fran. They had been together for 2 years. Fran was very kind and always wanted to help others. Later, influenced by Belle, he joined the fight against Astrid, but Fran was accidentally exposed and killed. Now, Zoa has become Belle's next target. Claudia advises her to stay away from Belle and her resistance organization to survive. On the other hand, Africa is actively participating in various activities on the island. When she learns that tomorrow is Astrid and Eric's anniversary, she suggests organizing a party for them to celebrate. Eric initially refuses, but the online star has been successfully brainwashed by him, saying that doing so will bring them closer to the members on the island and win their love. If Astrid and Eric always sit on high as leaders, someone will surely come to overthrow them. Just like that, everyone starts preparing. Africa is in charge of arranging the scene and serving food. During the day, she wants to achieve results to get promoted to a management level here. At the same time, she asks Micah to edit a video of Astrid and Eric and project it on a big screen. While Micah is processing the video, Charlie suddenly runs over and asks if Micah was sent to be his link. When Micah stands up to explain, everything on her computer screen changes, flickers for a moment, and then returns to normal. Micah says she just likes being with him, but if asked to choose between Charlie and Eden, she admits she wouldn't choose Charlie. After night falls, the party on the beach begins. The main characters, Astrid and Eric, take the stage to give a speech. At this point, everyone finally knows about the existence of this Eden Island. The purpose of the Eden Project began 15 years ago. Astrid and Eric came together by chance. Astrid's father was a doctor who had studied climate change his whole life. He warned the countries of the world about climate change, but was opposed by all the developed industrial countries. They caused his accidental death in a car accident. In these years, the trend of climate change is approaching an irreversible point. At that time, humanity is destined for extinction. And so, this paradise of Eden was born. Everyone on the island will then become survivors. At this moment, a strange symbol suddenly appears on the big screen. It is a declaration that Astrid will be executed. Now everyone at the scene is stunned, and the angriest of all is Astrid. She thinks Africa planned this incident. After all, she was in charge of everything from organization to layout. Astrid blames Eric for letting the lowest level people advance so quickly, thinking that Africa has influenced Eric's judgment and has been given too much power. Therefore, she summons the council members on the island. The culprit must pay with their life. After investigating everyone's records, Micah discovers that Africa and the other members on the island do not have such hacking skills. Astrid feels her authority is being challenged and needs to find someone to take the blame, whether that person did it or not. When it comes to the candidate who should be responsible, Elise mentions Eloy, who had a conflict with him yesterday, but his boyfriend, Ivan, still withstands the pressure and saves him. Then, Brenda chooses Zoa. She thinks Zoa hasn't accepted her best friend's death and is just acting. At this point, Astrid says she likes Zoa very much and is still in the observation period. But if the majority of the committee agrees, she can also accept Zoa's sacrifice. Just like that, a vote to decide Zoa's fate begins. Brenda, Elise, and Ivan vote in favor. Meanwhile, Micah chooses to oppose, making the vote a 3-3 tie. The final choice falls to Saul. A few minutes later, Brenda leads everyone into Zoa's room, but her target is not Zoa, but Claudia. It turns out Saul also cast a blank vote. The last person responsible for the vote turns out to be Claudia. They take her to the cliff where they are executed and paint her hand with blue paint. At this moment, Claudia knows she won't survive. After the death of her boyfriend Fran, she no longer has the will to live. Therefore, she voluntarily admits to faking the video and is then executed by Brenda. That night, a rebirth ceremony is held on the island for the 4 new members who have joined Eden. Each person must drink a bottle of Blue Eden, then let go of everything and accept the challenge. If they complete it, they will find the key to their own development. The challenge is to walk barefoot on a path of hot red stones. Only when you remove the cross-shaped star necklace hanging above, symbolizing rebirth, will you pass. Under everyone's gaze, Zoa, Ivan, and Charlie pass the test one by one. But something unexpected happens when it's Africa's turn. Halfway through, she can't hold on and collapses. The fire immediately burns her pants, but she grits her teeth and stands up strong, moving forward. Finally, she removes the star cross, and the challenge is completed. As new members of the Eden family, they will have a star cross tattooed on their wrists. 1 star is the lowest level. Members can only have a chance to advance if they work hard. Micah and Eva are the 2 who are promoted first this time. Micah succeeded as the link who pulled Ivan in, so she is qualified for promotion. Ulysses, for his dedication, becomes the first 3-star family member after Astrid and Eric. Soon, 100 new guests will come to the island for a party, and they will choose the best ones. The islanders can be links for the recommended people. If you successfully attract them to join, you can get a promotion. After returning to the villa, Astrid and Eric discuss the threat, but Eric says it's no longer important. They have shown everyone what to do with traitors. If you want to continue, you will have to think carefully before acting. The only thing that matters is as long as they receive the signal they've been waiting for, they can go to the real point of suspicion with the person named Isaac. What they don't know is that Belle is quietly going to the beach for this. The person she meets is Eva, who was promoted to 2 stars today. The meeting is to plan to find the person who made the threat, because the person behind this is not one of them. Their common enemy is Astrid, so they can get support. Therefore, Belle wants Eva to infiltrate the council and gather useful news. As expected, Astrid still hasn't given up. She asks Micah to start searching all the surveillance videos on the island to find the person who threatened to kill her. At this moment, Charlie walks through the island's underground caves and finds a hidden path to the sea. He then reports this news to Zoa and Ivan, but Ivan already wants this life here and doesn't want to return to the world dominated by his father. Zoa has no choice but to leave alone in disappointment. Belle meets her and starts talking about Eric's family. It turns out Astrid and Eric can't have children. That's why they look for young people from all over the country to raise as their own children. People here are not allowed to get pregnant, which is why there are no children on the island. If they don't meet Astrid's expectations, she will find new replacements. Therefore, Belle has organized a resistance movement, wanting to overthrow Astrid's rule. But Zoa remembers meeting a boy on the first night on the island. Belle thinks she drank that blue liquid and had hallucinations. Zoa also expresses her helplessness about staying on the island and joining the resistance. She still wants to go back home and even invites Belle to go with her. Belle says she can't leave her other partners behind. If Zoa wants to leave, she won't stop her. That night, a dark figure uses Elise's level 3 access card to enter Astrid's house. He comes to her bed with a knife in hand and covers her mouth, but Eric wakes up in time to stop him. Then the 2 fight in the dark room, but Eric is quickly overpowered by his opponent. Astrid takes the opportunity to hit the killer on the head with something. However, she is immediately kicked down by the opponent. Eric gets up and rushes forward, but is stabbed in the stomach by the masked man. Just like that, the killer escapes from the scene. Astrid doesn't take Eric to the infirmary to find a doctor. Instead, she drives across the border of the island's restricted area. Very quickly, she arrives at a hidden valley. The person they ask for help turns out to be the boy Zoa met on the first night, named Isaac. Soon after, the boy skillfully stitches up Eric's wound, and Astrid quickly returns to the camp to hold a meeting because tomorrow 100 new guests will arrive on the island. She needs to ensure that the selected candidates are assigned to the right links. Someone asks why today is so important that Eric isn't here. Astrid makes an excuse that he is sick. Soon after, some people are arranged to welcome them. But as they leave, Micah discovers bloodstains on the steps of the mansion. At the same time, Nicola also goes to see Zoa, wanting to get back with her. He even says he will escape the island with her. But after what happened before, Zoa has lost faith in Nicola. The two part unhappily. Under Elise's arrangement, everyone is assigned their own tasks. Only Africa, who wants more power, is arranged to stay at the residences in different areas. The task arrangement accidentally ruins Zoa and Charlie's plan to escape the island. Zoa, thinking there's no hope of returning home, steals a patrol car. She drives towards the coast at a speed of 300 yards, in a mad despair, hitting the steering wheel. When Brenda finds out, she brings a steel-piped weapon and gives chase. Nicola also gets in a car and goes there. Unexpectedly, Belle finds Zoa first, promising to help her escape the island. When Brenda arrives at the scene and sees Zoa and Belle talking, she assumes she has no intention of escaping and drives back. As for Africa, she is complaining to Astrid about why she was left in the camp. Astrid says her face is recognized by too many people and her disappearance could affect the newcomers' party. On this side, Charlie goes to see Micah, saying he likes her very much. He promises he will never forget her. Immediately, Micah understands the hidden meaning in his words. She even warns Charlie not to do anything stupid or she can only kill him. Belle also keeps her promise, arranging to place oxygen tanks on the beach next to the upcoming ceremony for Zoa. As long as they can dive and escape to the ship, there will be people from the resistance to cover their return to the mainland. But what Zoa doesn't know is that her sister Gabby is also in trouble. She had turned on the blue bracelet earlier and revealed her location. In just a few days, the guy David was captured by the Eden organizers. They used his mother's life to extract information about Gabby. Afterward, the unlucky David was shot dead by them. At this time, the private investigator uses the blue bracelet to trace the trail to the beach where the Eden yacht picks up guests. But when she arrives, it's already too late. The yacht has already carried 100 new people to the island. Africa can't sit still and goes looking around. She finds Elise's access card that the killer had dropped on the grass. Soon, she enters the room but finds no trace of Eric. After searching, she finds a metal star cross in the desk. It looks exactly like the level tattoo on their arms. Africa also accidentally uses this magnetic star to open an underground elevator. At this time, the new party attendees are landing on the island one by one. While they are singing and dancing, Belle goes to the area where the guy in charge of the sound system is. Not long after, the entire power supply at the site is suddenly cut off. Taking advantage of the chaos, Charlie quickly runs to where the oxygen tank is hidden to dive into the sea and head for the ship. But Zoa doesn't have time to escape because the power is restored by then. When she tries to dig the oxygen tank out of the beach, she is discovered by Ulises, who lands a kick on her. He is angry, thinking she was the one who stole his access card and caused the chaos to escape. Just as he is about to strangle Zoa to death, Ivan suddenly rushes out to stop him. As the two fight in the sea, he grabs a rock and knocks Ulises unconscious, then holds his head underwater until the opponent gradually becomes silent. As for Charlie, who escaped early, he has climbed onto the boat. But at this moment, a drone suddenly appears and targets him. Micah looks at Charlie with a heavy heart, but because of her love for him, she doesn't reveal everything. On the other side, Africa has reached a computer room via the elevator in a secret room. She sees a send confirmation button on the controller and can't help but press it out of curiosity. Then suddenly, the entire system starts running. A giant satellite dish in the mysterious valley inside the island is also activated. It is sending an unknown signal into space and waiting for a response. Isaac quickly informs Eric, who is recovering from his wound in the tent. They are both confused about what is happening. Over here, Africa in the computer room also realizes something is wrong. She wants to escape but is too late and gets locked inside. At the same time, Nicola looks around the beach but doesn't see Zoa. He only sees Belle and looks at her with suspicion. At this moment, Zoa is swimming hard towards the yacht. But suddenly, she sees a familiar figure from the member transport boat. It is her sister, Gabby. It turns out Gabby, who became famous on social media while looking for her sister, was chosen by Eden. Seeing the boat carrying her sister heading towards the beach, Zoa, who is about to escape from Eden, is utterly stunned. She doesn't know whether to flee from here or stay to protect her sister. Seeing the boat carrying her sister heading towards the island, she chose to swim back, leaving Charlie to leave alone. However, as soon as she got ashore, Zoa was discovered and captured by Nicola. When she resisted fiercely, he injected her with a sedative, and she passed out. Not long after arriving on the island, Gabby and the newcomers started a party. On this side, Astrid's team also learned about Ulysses's death and cremated him quietly, then pushed the boat out to sea so as not to affect the newcomers. The one who committed the murder, Ivan, was also very haunted by his actions. Meanwhile, Zoa woke up to find herself taken to a secret cave by Nicola. He knew all about her escape attempt. Of course, he didn't forget to warn her that if Zoa was discovered, she would suffer the same fate as her friend Judy. Moreover, there was one thing that puzzled Nicola: why she didn't get on the boat with Charlie. Of course, Zoa pretended not to know and didn't reveal the reason. Not wanting them to know, she came back for Gabby. To win Nicola's favor, Zoa even said the reason she came back was because she still loved him. Luckily, because of this, Nicola didn't report Zoa's escape attempt to Astrid. Through him, she also learned that Astrid was very fond of a new girl named Sam. At this time, she had also been assigned to her module. Of course, not yet knowing the dangers of this island, she was very excited about everything here. Meanwhile, Africa was suffering greatly after being discovered by Astrid and locked in the basement, even having to watch her eat in front of her as a punishment. Astrid's attitude made Africa furious, but it only brought her more disadvantages. Astrid said that at dawn, Africa's arm would be covered in blue paint. Currently, on the vast sea, Charlie is trying to chase the boat carrying the unselected youths away. However, having missed it, he turns to ask for help from a passing ship. What awaits Charlie is something he truly did not want, but by now it's too late, as this is the boat of Joel, a level 2 commander of Eden. He is another of Astrid's subordinates. On Nicola's side, he has brought Zoa back to the camp. He threatened Belle, not wanting the two to be close anymore, or else he would report to Astrid that Belle had helped Zoa escape. Here, Zoa also learned that 2 people had been chosen by Astrid to stay. Suspecting that besides Sam, the other one was Gabby, Zoa became very worried. And what she worried about was indeed true. That person was none other than her sister Gabby. However, Zoa immediately gave a signal as if the two didn't know each other, because she knew Astrid was always watching their actions. Zoa could only lead Gabby to a very secluded spot by the beach. At this point, she also found out why her sister had come here. Looking at Zoa's current attitude, Gabby also somewhat understood the seriousness of the situation. Zoa didn't hesitate to say that this place was no different from hell and told Gabby about Judy's death to warn her. In addition, Zoa also hoped she wouldn't trust anyone here too much. This was a close moment between the two sisters who hadn't seen each other for a long time. Zoa was also quite proud of Gabby's current maturity, instead of blaming her. At this time, Joel's boat had also arrived at the island. As soon as he set foot on land, he led his men to arrest some residents of Eden, including Eloy and Ivan. Even later, Belle, Zoa, and Nicola were also captured. According to Joel's investigation, one of these people was the one who took Ulysses's life. After a warning shot, everyone was a little scared. Since no one said anything, Joel called his subordinate DiTi, leaving her to handle the matter. With her killer's expression, she began to choose her first prey. Among those taken away were both Ivan and Eloy. They would be put on a vehicle to be taken to the execution site. Joel's appearance here also made the rebellion of Belle and Eva more difficult because he used to be in the army and had an armed squad. Regarding Ulysses's death, Eva believed the one to take the blame would be Eloy because he was the one who discovered the body. But Belle wanted her to keep quiet, because if she spoke up, Ivan, the real culprit, would also be exposed. Thus, the two had a slight disagreement. Meanwhile, the arrested group was taken to the stables for the culprit to reveal themselves. DiTi proposed playing a game of Russian roulette. The unlucky one would be killed by the single bullet, or the game would end if the culprit confessed. Luckily for the first girl, the gun didn't go off. The second guy also escaped death, but was so scared he couldn't stand up anymore. Just like that, when it was Eloy's turn, Ivan suddenly spoke up to stop it. Right at that moment, Eva drove up and whispered to DiTi that Eloy was the one who first discovered Ulysses's body. Immediately after, Eloy was held there, while everyone else was taken back to the camp. At the same time, Joel had set up a separate camp and was instructing Astrid on how to use real guns. Afterward, she called for Brenda and reprimanded her for her incompetence. Despite being the head of security for the past 3 years, this time she couldn't find who had warned that Astrid must die that night. Therefore, Astrid said today would be Brenda's last chance to prove her abilities. That was to let Brenda run from a series of shots fired by Astrid herself. But she didn't get far before Brenda took 2 bullets and lay on the ground. Afterward, Astrid didn't hesitate to take her life with a 3rd bullet. Soon after, Micah was appointed as the new executioner to replace Brenda. At this time, Eric had also gradually recovered. It turns out this boy Isaac is his and Astrid's son, and the two of them are not unable to have children as rumored. Because of the rule against having children on the island, they had hidden the boy's identity. Very quickly, Eric returned to his mansion. At this time, Astrid also said there would be no more ships, so they wouldn't recruit any more Eden members. Of course, Eric disagreed with this as they wanted as many potential people as possible. Astrid thought that the girl named Sam was already here and they didn't need anyone else. At this time, Eric also mentioned that the satellite antenna had been activated, but of course, it wasn't Astrid who did it. Soon after, he found the person who had accidentally done it, Africa, who was locked in the basement. But because she had activated the antenna signal, Eric no longer valued her. It turned out that it was a signal to contact a new Eden, as this island was just a preparation, and the real Eden was very far away because it was not on Earth. Then, Africa's cell gradually opened to welcome a new person. It was none other than Charlie, who had been caught by Joel. Seeing him return, Micah also gradually smiled happily. On Ivan's side, when he was brought back, he confessed the truth to Alma that he was the one who killed Elises, not Eloy. And at this time, he was being tortured mercilessly at the stables. By morning, Alma and Ivan had received the order to execute Eloy. According to procedure, he was taken to the cliff and had a layer of blue paint applied to his arm. Meanwhile, Alma would prepare the weapon in her role as executioner. After preparing everything, she still hesitated a bit as this was her first time killing someone. As a result, she couldn't do it and confessed that she couldn't. Just like that, Ivan created an opportunity for Eloy to escape. A confession of the past was being focused on. The person being questioned was Gabby. During the conversation, she almost revealed that she had a sister, but luckily Zoa had warned her beforehand, so Gabby answered cleverly to avoid Astrid's suspicion. After the conversation, everyone would exchange friendly hugs, but the excessive intimacy between Zoa and Gabby made Nicholas suspicious. At the same time, Micah and Eric were also plotting something. Afterward, Astrid announced that today would be a day off for everyone. Just like that, the young men and women immersed themselves in the beach, enjoying a relaxing time. Taking this opportunity, Eric deliberately brought food to Africa and Charlie's cell. The guy acted very angry and was hit with a rifle, but by Joel, collapsing on the floor. After he left, Eric gave Micah's letter to Charlie. The message said she would find a way to get him out. Eric also explained more clearly about the hope that a real Eden would come to pick everyone up. They believed that an extraterrestrial force would come when they sent a communication signal, because Astrid's father had once contacted that extraterrestrial force. But hearing this, Africa felt it was just a trick by Astrid and her father. However, even if she didn't believe it, she couldn't do anything. Afterward, Eric and Africa actually kissed before Charlie's astonished eyes. When Eric left, he stood in front of the camera because he knew Micah was watching him. He didn't hesitate to sincerely tell her he loved her. These words truly made her very happy. On Alma and Ivan's side, they were being reprimanded for failing to execute Eloy. Luckily, Astrid didn't take both their lives, but only demoted Alma's level, which was to remove a star from her arm. Although it was very painful, she had to grit her teeth and accept it. At the same time, Ivan told Ivan about the incident, so he happily ran to tell Belle that Eloy was still alive. Astrid had come to take Gabby onto a boat. This move made Zoa extremely worried. On the boat, Astrid said this would be an evaluation for Gabby. On social media, she had said she was an expert diver, so Astrid threw her necklace into the sea for her to dive and retrieve it. The depth in this area was 9 meters, so this must be a tough challenge for Gabby. But of course, there was no other choice for her if she wanted to win Astrid's trust. Watching from a distance without understanding what was happening made Zoa even more restless. But luckily, Gabby was able to complete her challenge. Just like that, Astrid temporarily acknowledged her. In another development, the boy Isaac was exploring the island. He happened to see bloodstains in a cave. Unexpectedly, the person hiding inside was Eloy. Over here, the guy Joel and Saul, who were once rivals, met. With Joel's provocation, Saul became really angry. So that night, the two had a rematch. It must be said, both of them were very evenly matched. Joel and Saul exchanged blows very regularly until Joel mentioned the death of Saul's late mentor. This made him so angry that he beat Joel nearly to a pulp. Luckily, Eva intervened. Otherwise, he would have been buried for his arrogance. But Saul's fighting attitude made Nicola a bit suspicious. So he led Zoa to break into Saul's room, because Nicola suspected he was involved in the attack on Eric and the death threat to Astrid. Nicola also wanted to earn merit to get a promotion. And sure enough, he found related evidence. However, before reporting to Astrid, Saul returned to the room. So the two immediately engaged in a fight. Nicola was no slouch either with his tall frame. In a disadvantageous situation, Saul picked up a syringe and stabbed him in the neck. The overdose of the drug made Nicola gradually have difficulty breathing. At this point, Zoa had also chosen to side with Saul, so she didn't report it. Zoa stayed with Nicola in his final moments, and he also declared his love for her before dying in her arms. At this time, Gabby was being called by Astrid and Eric to have dinner by the beach. After a few glasses of wine, Gabby was almost convinced she should stay here. When morning came, Zoa and Belle threw Nicola's body into the sea. Saul also stated his purpose before the grave of his mentor, Lilith, which was her alias. She was the first to disagree with the methods of the Eden organization and wanted to leave. It was Lilith who created that blue Eden drink. However, Astrid later eliminated her. That's why Saul always sought to make her pay. However, he said he would do this himself because he didn't want to affect others. Although Belle offered to cooperate, he was determined to take revenge alone. On this side, Astrid was informing Micah about the plan to vote tonight on the fate of Charlie in Africa. In addition to the council members, Micah was also personally allowed to vote in the meeting. Outside the camp, Isaac had returned to the cave again, bringing food for Eloy. What surprised him even more was that the boy could use sign language like him. In fact, Isaac had only learned it in one night and was already so proficient. When asked about being the only child on the island, Isaac revealed he was the son of Eric and Astrid. On the mainland, Ivan's father decided not to look for him anymore, paid the private investigator to end the matter, as he believed Ivan wanted to leave the family for a new life. As soon as she returned, the investigator deleted all the investigation data, but she suddenly received a few missed calls from an unknown number. When she called back, it was the number of Zoa and Gabi's mother. Because someone was currently watching her house, and moreover, both of her daughters were missing, she was very worried. So the investigator arranged a plan to find out the purpose of these stalkers. That was for the mother to pack a suitcase for a long trip. Sure enough, when she left, the stalker broke into the house. After searching, he discovered that Zoa and Gabi were sisters. As soon as he left, the investigator deliberately bumped into him and discovered the star symbol on his arm, then quickly drove to follow him. Back in Eden, Astrid was becoming more and more friendly with Gabi. She had gone to the garden to visit her, and even during meals, she couldn't take her eyes off Gabi. This worried Zoa, so she deliberately approached to warn her. While talking, Zoa noticed the situation was becoming more serious as Gabi was gradually trusting Astrid. Seeing the two sisters attracting too much attention, Belle had to stop them. Late in the afternoon, the council members were gathered for the vote to execute Africa and Charlie. As soon as they sat at the table, Saul had a knife ready underneath. Very quickly, the vote began with Africa. Eric, Saul, and Micah were the ones who disagreed with her execution. The final decision belonged to Astrid. The result was that Africa would be executed. Next would be Charlie's fate. Again, Micah and Eric opposed the execution. At the decisive moment, Micah turned off the power in the building and opened the door for them to escape. As soon as the power was back on, Saul pulled out a knife and held Astrid hostage. At this time, he also revealed that he was the one who had attacked Eric. While escaping, Africa heard noises in the house. So she unexpectedly turned back and attacked Saul, causing him to be shot by Joel. But by the time everyone calmed down, he had already disappeared. Meanwhile, Charlie was running for his life, being pursued. By morning, Saul had made it to Lilith's grave. Soon after, he succumbed to his wounds and took his last breath. On this side, Charlie was running but accidentally fell in front of Joel. Just like that, the unlucky guy was caught once again. At the same time, for her actions, Micah was being reprimanded by Astrid. But because of her long-term loyalty, Astrid wouldn't punish her. Instead, she let her say her last words to Charlie. Hearing this, Micah begged for a chance for him with all her sincerity. So Astrid requested Charlie to be a link for a new girl. Astrid even threatened Charlie's brother's family to ensure he would agree to the mission. Just like that, he was subdued by her. Afterward, he was taken to Gabi and Sam's module. But hearing the name Charlie, Gabi felt it was very familiar because she had heard it from Zoa before. When she learned he was in the same module as her sister, she was very shocked. Charlie's link target became clearer. It was Sam. While he was flirting, Zoa and Ivan saw him. But their conversation was interrupted by Sam, so he couldn't explain the current situation. Meanwhile, Africa was also spared and was working as a waitress to try to win Astrid's favor. She had called Gabi over to watch her serving performance. That night, Eloy was taken to Isaac's secret house by the boy, who also explained the role of the large antenna there to him. When morning came, Ivan, while looking for Eloy, discovered a secret. Danae was arranging a series of explosives near the beach. Then, a gathering for confession began. Alma expressed her failure in her mission. But as she confessed, Eloy came here on his own. What was even more unexpected was that he brought Isaac with him. This completely astonished everyone. In such a critical situation, Astrid and Eric had to introduce Isaac as their son to everyone. In 2014, Astrid's father, Florian, discovered New Eden and reported the news to his daughter, which made her very happy. But they needed money for the project, so he suggested she talk to Eric about the investment. After talking about the plan, Florian took Isaac to a place to stargaze as planned. However, on the way, they were ambushed by two assassins on motorcycles. The car's tire was shot, and it immediately started to swerve. Knowing they were after his research file, he quickly transferred the data from his phone. Soon after, the assassin shot him down with 2 shots, causing the car to veer off the road. However, the data transfer was not complete before the assassin stopped it. By the time Astrid arrived, Florian was dead and Isaac was seriously injured. Back in the present, everyone is still in shock that a child has appeared on the island, because it is against the rules of this island. After taking Isaac away, Eloy was also captured by Joel's men. As they were about to throw him into the cell, Isaac kept begging them to spare him. Thanks to that, Eloy escaped their custody. But Isaac's caretaker, Nuria, was being brutally beaten by DiTi. The reason was for letting Isaac walk freely around the island. At this point, Eloy was free to return to his camp. But he was angry with Belle, thinking she had instigated Eva to sacrifice him. He was very lucky to have kept his life thanks to meeting Isaac. He also revealed all of Astrid's current plans, which was to take everyone to a new Eden outside of Earth. Hearing this, Belle thought it was the right time for a rebellion. The first step was to spread rumors about a new Eden, through which their resistance team would grow larger. Just like that, the group spread rumors during all the residents' activities on the island. Very quickly, when the confession gathering took place, everyone was talking a lot. However, Africa knew Astrid's plan clearly but still did not side with the resistance because she felt angry about being imprisoned without anyone helping her. But on the other hand, it was Africa's curiosity that got her imprisoned in the first place. The confession soon began with Sam. It turns out she is the daughter of a wealthy businessman and the owner of a rich oil mining company named X. It was he who hired assassins to track Astrid's father, and she only chose Sam to stay on the island as a form of disguised revenge. After the confession, Ivan started the rebellion. Through this, those who had heard the rumors also stood up in unison, calling for an explanation. Seeing this, Astrid let Joel take Gabby and Sam away first, then took them with Charlie to relieve the tense atmosphere. Upon returning, Charlie and Sam drank a bottle of Blue Eden together. Just like that, they both fell into a frenzy. This made Micah, watching on camera, furious. She felt that the two of them were gradually drifting apart. So, she no longer allowed Charlie into her room. Even after that, Astrid tried to contact Sam's father, who was on his deathbed, and asked Micah to send him the video of the frenzy between Sam and Charlie. This made Micah even more uncomfortable. At this point, Astrid declared that Sam would stay on this island forever, and X's inheritance would be hers. Afterward, Astrid invited Gabby to her house for dinner. While talking about the new Eden, a stone was thrown through the window. While everyone quickly left, Africa still tried to finish her glass of wine before getting up from the table. But when they went outside, they saw no one there. Only a message on the wall that read, "Murderers and liars." To prove the truth against the recent rumors, Astrid actually activated the signal to be sent into space. She even summoned the residents in the night to announce that she had received a response from the new Eden. But this statement still made everyone very skeptical. The next morning, Zoa's group began to act. Zoa would light a fire in the cave to attract the guards, while Ivan would go steal explosives on the beach. Since the guard had left, he managed to get a full backpack and ran to the cave they had agreed upon with Zoa, hiding his loot. Meanwhile, Belle, Eva, and Eloy went to the module where Nuria was staying. When they entered, they captured Nuria, who was there. Under interrogation, she revealed the truths. Nuria was originally a maid at Astrid's house, and Isaac was actually her biological son, resulting from an affair between Nuria and Eric. Astrid was infertile and had allowed her to give birth to Isaac. On this side, Africa took Eric to the signal transmission room to prove that Astrid's plan for New Eden was a complete lie. At first, Eric didn't believe it and activated the signal to be sent out into space himself. However, there was no response afterward. This really made Eric doubt his wife's entire plan. That night, Charlie left the module to apologize to Micah again. But no matter what he said, she couldn't continue with him. So Charlie went back and said a polite goodbye to Sam. What they didn't know was that their conversation was overheard by Gabby. When morning came, she told Astrid about it. So she reminded Joel to contact the assassin outside, Leon, to start taking action. At this time, The private investigator Brisa was meeting with Charlie's brother, Luis. Suddenly, the assassin arrived and opened fire, but they reacted in time. Soon after, there was a shootout between the assassin and the investigator. As a result, both were shot. While Brisa was shot in the shoulder, Leon was shot in the stomach. After following the trail of blood, Brisa found him under a bridge. Under interrogation, Leon revealed the island's location to her. On the island, Astrid was organizing a New Eden event and inviting residents to participate. However, knowing his wife's lies, Eric angrily said he wouldn't go. But under Astrid's threat, Isaac had to go with her. And at this time, she had also learned about the relationship between Zoa and Gabby. After arriving at the location with Isaac, they opened up a glass panel reflecting the stars. Astrid began to announce the real plan in front of everyone. She gave everyone one more night. If by the next day, anyone was no longer excited, they could go home. After the speech, Gabby was the first to step onto the glass panel. Just like that, the rest also gradually stepped onto it. Soon after, all the surrounding lights began to activate, followed by strange sounds that Astrid called encrypted signals to communicate with the New Eden. Then, one by one, they would be given a bottle of Blue Eden. Just like that, everyone gradually fell into a hallucination. Even Gabby was captivated by the guy Joel. Meanwhile, Alma was leading Ivan to a deserted spot. Here, Ivan said goodbye to Alma. But after a farewell hug, she actually went ahead and took his life, at the same time accusing Ivan of killing Elise as before. Eric and Africa also had their time engaging in their affair. The next day, everyone received the news of Ivan's death. This made Zoa very angry, convincing Belle to speed up the plan to eliminate Astrid, while also demanding that Gabby stay away from her so the plan could proceed smoothly. On Astrid and Eric's side, they were arguing about his relationship with Africa. Unable to trust this woman anymore, Eric decided to move out of the house. During the argument, Isaac also accidentally learned who his biological mother was. On the side of Nuria's module, they were also carrying out the plan to lure Astrid there and detonate everything with explosives. Luckily, their plan had received Nuria's support, but as they were setting everything up, Africa unexpectedly showed up. It turned out she was there to announce that Eric would be moving there with Isaac in a few days. While talking, she saw the bomb system and quickly left. Knowing the plan was exposed, Belle and Zoa immediately chased after her. But with her new driving skills, Africa was quickly blocked. Of course, even if she got out of the car to run, she couldn't escape. After explaining that the explosives were for Astrid, she finally calmed down. For Africa to keep the plan a secret, they just needed to ensure Eric's safety. Just like that, the two sides reached an agreement. Meanwhile, Astrid was gradually feeling empty being at home without Eric. Even now, Isaac couldn't accept this mother. Not long after, she called Gabby and Sam over to sign an agreement to stay on the island. Afterward, their bracelets would be removed. While Sam was allowed to leave, Astrid asked Gabby to stay. Then, she began to ask about Gabby's real purpose for wanting to stay on the island. Because after discovering the truth about her relationship with Zoa, Astrid no longer trusted Gabby as she did initially. Although Gabby assured her that she saw Astrid and Eric as the parents she never had, Astrid still refused to trust her and considered how to deal with her. On this side, Charlie, rejected by Micah, was going crazy. He stole a whole crate of Blue Eden to drink. However, it seriously affected his health. Eric could only inject Charlie with a sedative to calm him down. At this time, Nuria also sent a signal to lure Astrid there. It didn't take long for her to drive over. Immediately, Belle held the bomb detonator in her hand. But as she was about to act, another car suddenly drove up. It turned out to be Alma bringing Isaac. But Zoa urged Belle to activate the detonator regardless. However, Belle didn't want to harm an innocent child like that. So the two of them got into a struggle until Zoa got the detonator, but nothing happened. Soon after, they were discovered and captured by Joel's men. Now they knew that the plan had been exposed from the beginning, and Astrid had deliberately brought Isaac to obstruct them. While speculating, the two thought of Eva. It seemed she had sold out the resistance, causing their plan to fail. After taking Isaac away, Alma and Joel were tasked with executing Nuria. At the same time, Eric did not escape with Africa, but returned to his family, quickly ending his affair with Africa. But their conversation was accidentally overheard by Charlie. At this point, Africa even realized she was pregnant with Eric's child. Meanwhile, Astrid was interrogating Belle and Zoa one by one. However, the two were very stubborn and did not reveal who their allies were. But then, Astrid brought Gabby over. She herself was blinded by Astrid's promises and revealed the assassination plot, which greatly disappointed Zoa. As morning dawned, everyone was gathered for an important announcement, which was the announcement of Belle and Zoa's trial. That night, Danae's true identity was also revealed. It turns out she was a double agent working for Sam's father, who was also the person behind the death of Astrid's father. The presence of the two was an attempt to destroy this Eden territory. At this time, Danae had taken out a chip implanted in Sam's shoulder. When morning came, Belle and Zoa began to be taken to the execution site. At this moment, Gabby truly regretted her wrong judgments. She rushed to the cliff as fast as she could. Just as Alma was about to pull the trigger, Gabby managed to stop her in time. But no matter how desperately she begged, Astrid would not give Zoa and Belle a chance to live. At this moment, there was suddenly the sound of a helicopter in the sky. It turned out to be Brisa and her associates who had arrived. On this side, while Astrid and Eric were away, Danae broke into the mansion. She used the chip taken from Sam to successfully open the computer room, then quickly downloaded all the data of the Astrid House project. But during the download process, she was discovered by Isaac. At the same time, Brisa's helicopter landed at the execution site. Seeing the familiar figure, Gabby told Zoa, "She's here to save everyone." So that's where the show ends for now. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. What did you think of this movie? Please leave a comment below.